Okay. Here we are. August 2nd. If you haven't remembered, it's a new month. So don't forget to flip your calendars to the next page if you are a normal person. And, well, if you're a person who is probably abnormal in the sense that you still have physical tools like a calendar that you could just replace with a digital, in my opinion, worse version. But you gotta remember to flip the page. And that's part of the appeal, I think, of a physical calendar, is that tactile. I mean, that's the appeal with anything physical over digital, with the with like books and even like a watch. It has weight. I think that's why people like why there's an appeal to heavy songs with heavy bass and big subwoofers, because it makes you feel something. You feel it deep in your chest when a loud, heavy thump goes along in a rhythm. But it is 10:45 a.m. on this sunny August 2nd in McKinleyville. And summer's ending. Summer is ending, and it catches up quick. The end of June, going into July, and living the days of the peak of summer, where stuff that's coming up still isn't anywhere near worrying about. You don't have to think about it when you're still in July, even in the end of July. You're still just enjoying whatever kind of break or just the feeling of the season until August. August, even a little bit of the last day of July, July 31st, the feeling starts to get there. Like, oh, this is the last day of July. Pretty soon here it'll be in August, which is, when at the end of August is when most school starts, and September is when fall starts. So it's coming to an end, as opposed to this feeling in the middle of June when things are heating up and you're looking forward to this great summer season. This comfortable, this relaxing, this hot summer season to get fit or be fit and sit at a pool and bask, or loathe your shameful fat body, which a lot of people have. So that's the case for a lot of people. And it is a shame a lot of people don't feel shame in their ugly state that is so easily able to be remedied. You know, people didn't used to be this fat. and it's not a good sign that more people are getting fatter. There's a certain weight over which you pass, and more weight becomes not only unnecessary but unhealthy. The, this Even disregarding the aesthetic of it. So if you are fat, you should feel ashamed. And so I think body shaming needs to be supported, especially in academic institutions like colleges and universities, where I think the opposite, where this negative connotation has come from that phrase body shaming. Like someone, like a good looking girl will whisper to her boyfriend, "Oh, that person, wow, have you seen them?" And someone walking by might overhear that and go, "Are you body shaming?" Where we need to be in a place culturally where the opposite is the kind of reaction the person who's walking by will have, where that girl will subtly be telling her friend, "Oh, do you see that person over there?" And the person walking by will be like, "Oh my god, yeah, are you kidding? That's insane. Should someone tell him? Does he know?" But we're not right there right now. So we'll work on it. I do have some hope for the future. I think things can improve. I think there's a chance things can improve, and people will body shame other people, and people will thank the people that body shame. They'll say, I couldn't say it, but thank you for speaking up." And then people will be more healthy and look better, more importantly. So it's good to have your ego shattered. Maybe not too often, but with something as easily preventable as obesity, it's very good to have your ego shattered and your reality, the mirror placed in front of you, and society around you to shape you in a beautiful way. So hopefully in the future we'll grow in that way as a society, because that is an area we need to improve on. We've lost that a bit. We've gone away from the beauty side of society, You can see it in the architecture, and as well as people's dress and appearance. So I think that will be valued. That will be its undervalued state will be appreciated and seen at some point. So feel the shame you should feel. Look at your body. Realize how disgusting it is, and I know this can obviously go in the other way with becoming bulimic and destroying yourself that way. Um, but I think we're definitely not in danger on that side right now. We're definitely on the side of laziness and not taking care of yourself. So if some bulimics could actually, come out and speak up against all this, that would be great, I think. Help raise awareness. Because I think this is a real issue. I think it's so easily preventable, and makes up so much of what you see. You interact with people. You have to. Everyone has to interact with people. So the more everyone becomes a healthy, fit person, the more everyone around everyone will be more productive. And it's what's the microphone hitting the speaker, and the effect returns upon itself. Forget the term, but it's like feedback loop, I think. And it's so easy. I mean, you can just start there, and then once everyone's fit and healthy, then the other things that are harder to do will be easier. You don't have to worry about the hard thing and being fat at the same time. Just start with what you can do. Jordan Peterson says to clean your room, because it's the most local thing you can do to actually improve yourself, if even that isn't organized. So he's not wrong. In the same sense, we should and it's tough, like there's people I know that are fat when they would be so much more beautiful if they weren't. And it's so tough to see, because you know them well, and you just think, man, you could so easily just eat less and pick up a dumbbell or two at home. Like, you don't even have to leave your house. I mean, you don't really even need dumbbells. They would be the most efficient, I think, but you could just do push-ups and sit-ups and jumping jacks, and not eat, a surplus of calories, and you would look so much better. And it's but you don't want to say it to their face. You feel like it'd be rude. You wonder if it's more rude to not say anything, but you just have to hope someone else says it, because I do envy the people that have no filter and can just say whatever is on their mind, even though they're in no position. They have no right. They are the extreme example of what they're criticizing, and they still tell you to your face the most hypocritical thing. We need more people like that, because those are the real heroes. So we'll see. We'll see if people wake up a little. What's going on with this summer season of romance right now? Let me actually double check to see what has changed from the week before, because I don't remember where we were exactly. Okay, so we just had a bunch on S tier instead of A, as opposed to this week where we've gone back to the Yanni Neko and Blind Girl being at the peak top, and Villainess and Lara and Opposites and Caretaker all on that A tier, and everything else is mid and below. We had a couple shows move up from the C category, with the food truck still being at that lowest D. We had the Kamui, I don't know how it's pronounced, the ecchi series move up, and I don't even know what this is called, like Ice Princess one move up. But yeah, everything else is nothing's significantly moved here. It all stayed fairly the same. I will say Villainess got a lot stronger. Villainess is up there. It's at the peak of the A's, and it should almost be at the S tier there, but it is not quite as consistently good as those two. Caretaker is progressing along smoothly, as well as Lara. Polar Opposites is always consistent. The A and aboves are just consistently super good, with the top two being just slightly better than the rest of the four, and then everything else really is just kind of meh. So this has been episode 3 and 4 for most of these shows, so still in the first quarter. So we'll get there slowly. Things will shift a little more probably around the halfway mark, I assume. But that's what's going on with the summer romance anime. In a little bit of local United States 6-digit Osu news. The 6WC A team, USA A team, has had some complicated stuff going on since one person got screened. I can double check who that was. I think it was Tofu. if I'm remembering correctly. Let's see here. Yeah, tofu. So, US had three reserves for a reason. So one of them was going to fill tofu's spot. And things got interesting. And I'm not even sure how I would go about this. You'd think you'd do the best fill for the missing person. Whatever would make the A team strongest, not necessarily the strongest individually out of those three, but whoever would fill the slot and round A team out the best. So in that sense, whoever would fill the spot tofu's was filling would be the best. And I'm not sure exactly out of the three reserves who the best was, but apparently in the conversation was really just Ongon and General Mayo. And I'm not sure who admins were going to prioritize if there were no controversy. I think from what I know, Ongon was preferred purely skill wise, but the admins did ask the A team members, hey, who would you like? And that was where things went wrong, because then the decision is left up to the people that probably should not be making the decision. So that's where things got hairy, because yeah, it may be okay to ask, but maybe privately, and maybe just the captain, because people will voice their concerns privately as well if they do have concerns, I think. And everything would have gone a lot smoother that way. The way things went was not smooth at all. The way things went, people got to take advantage of a dramatic situation and try to gain popularity from the dramatic situation. Maybe most infamously in the USA tryout server. Someone said, "Okay, guys, chill on my man Mayo. I don't particularly understand what's happening, but most of the things people say about him are just for jokes. And I feel like people are taking things too far. ... But I don't know." May be worth mentioning that the last message in the general channel for the tryout server was July 22nd. So 9 days later, on July 31st, Gilgamesh on Discord here says, "I don't understand what's going on, but people are taking things too far, I think. But I don't know." Kiwi said, "What prompted this?" Which is it is a little funny for Kiwi to egg it on a little bit. If someone was gonna egg it on a little bit, it's not too surprising that Kiwi is the one to egg it on a little bit. And Gilgamesh responds, Mayo's being bullied in team channels. ... I think. Anyways, Mayo abuse is at an all-time high. Also, Mayo left server. So, immediately you think, okay, if you have no idea what's going on, you just read this random person spreading news about a certain player potentially being bullied, you think, oh, okay, well, it says right there he's being bullied in team channels, so let me go see what the bullying is all about. This Mayo abuse that's on an all-time high. And so you look through the team channels and you're looking for the bullying. You look through all of the team channels. And you don't see any abuse. You don't see any bullying. You're like, huh? I thought there was bullying. Where's the bullying? And the only message that mentions Mayo in all of the team channels is a message from one of the admins in the A-team chat saying, this whole Mayo situation is really getting out of hand. For those of you who do not like Mayo, need to send an apology to him. We are currently getting our asses kicked in because the reason why Ongon was put on over Mayo was because some of y'all would choose not to play should Mayo be put in. This needed to be addressed several weeks ago. And if y'all did not like Mayo, it needed to be brought up then. If Mayo submits a report ticket, he will be forced on A-team anyway. If you have genuine proof of him being toxic, then please DM it to me. Things are serious here. I mean, I'm not seeing any bullying or abuse besides this anecdotal potential bullying that Throne is mentioning was probably private. This reason of Ongon being put in over Mayo because some of A-team members would choose not to play if Mayo was put on the team. But anyway, the point is, never leave the players. Stick to your roles. Accept responsibility. Ask the captain. Don't involve people, because then you get things being leaked and drama being created and people taking advantage of that drama. Now, Gilgamesh gets rightfully exposed for this attempt here. Retro Rice responds to the message saying, "Why are we just straight up lying?" And Gilgamesh says, "I don't know. Why do you feel the need to comment on things you're not involved with? I'm waiting to hear his end before I actually say anything concrete." You said the concrete things already. No. I said I think, based on the announcement going around. Why comment at all then, if you are unsure? You do this all the time, by the way. It only adds to the confusion. I mean, it sounds somewhat serious. Right, but you're still jumping to conclusions. And finally, Snafu, one of the admins, also responded saying, any and everyone involved is a member in the 6WC USA team server. There is no reason to bring light to something that is not happening here. And finally, Gilgamesh relinquishes the attempt and says, all right. And other people also respond and says, all right. And then someone puts it very well. Does the little green text thing from 4chan. Says, doesn't understand what's happening, isn't involved, comes to a conclusion, spreads false conclusion. Absolute cinema. A great GIF with the thumbnail style big text saying, an IQ too high? So we need everyone. We need people to take advantage of dramatic situations. We need town criers. We need people to explain how insane it is to attempt to try to get attention from this, and how egotistical it is to try to put yourself into the situation. And we need the people to leak the information that is being privately talked about. We need everyone to have this this opportunity for the other people that work in the opposite direction to. It's a big paradigm where everyone has to play their part. And so I am glad we get some spicy drama, some hot tea from, like, if not for Gilgamesh, we wouldn't have this great response here of the display of an insane amount of intelligence. So you really should egg everyone on and try to get them to go even further than what they're saying, no matter what they're saying, like maybe you take what I'm saying and how everyone should look more beautiful, and you have a family member that's maybe you have a family member that's saying, everyone should be more beautiful, and you egg them on. You don't tell them about the risks of bulimics. You egg them on, and you tell them, you personally, not only do you agree with them, you think maybe even some ideas further on the possibly eugenicist side would be worth considering. I mean, yeah, I'm not a particularly political person, but just throwing it out there. See if they'll see if they come around to it. But yeah, there's a little bit of spicy drama in the Osu 6-digit world there. This is a great song that I shared. Static. Obviously can't play it, but yeah. Another funny thing there is in 2024. I don't know what happened exactly, but I think there was some complications with some members of a team where like some were either hospitalized or couldn't play halfway through the tourney, and I think they ended up getting like third or fourth place. And Colin was the captain of that team back then, and the year before in 2023, the U.S. had no problems and won. And in 2025, we also had no problems and won. Now in 2026, here when Colin is the captain again, before the tournament even starts, we're having fun. It's a fun coincidence. Also in 2024, General Mayo just barely didn't make B team. And so, and in 2025, I guess he was just out of rank range or something, so he didn't get to play in 2025. So now in 2026, you know, he just barely didn't make A team, was one of the reserves, and now he's left the server. He's left the USA, the 6WC USA server, because he's just not gonna play now. So USA is down a player. We're gonna have a seven person team for the D team, because we're just out of reserves from so many people being dropping out. What else is going on? AI. I've been listening to some podcasts recently, just during this last week, really. I used a number of ways and words to see if I could get ChatGPT to give me a definitive list of the most listened to podcasts globally. And so I thought, you know, why don't I broaden my horizons, see what other people are listening to, become a more worldly guy. And so I've just been going down the list. Like, obviously Joe Rogan's number one. I've listened to his stuff a lot already, but let me just pull up the list right here. Ooh, let me actually do it over here first. Do a little secret list finding. Make sure there isn't anything secret I want to hide. I'm a very private person, you know. There we go. Yeah, can we close that? Yes, we can. Just gotta remember to keep it closed. So, what's going on here? Why is this so short? Ooh, there we go. Estimate the top 20. And Diary of a CEO, which I had heard of, obviously, and maybe listened to one episode before with someone I already knew and liked. But yeah, I never really paid attention to it. And it being estimated to be number 2 is interesting, along with Lex Friedman number 3. That I'm fairly surprised by. I mean, I'm not sure who I think should be number 2 or 3. Diary of a CEO makes sense. After listening to Huberman Lab as well, that makes sense as maybe number two. I always thought This Past Weekend was pretty big from Spotify, saying it's usually on the top charts. Ben Shapiro right now being number 17 is also surprising to me. I would think it would be a lot lower, but I'm also not familiar with these other ones surrounding it. Number 16, 18, 15. So some surprises there. It's a little surprising to see the mix of production versus professionalism. Pure the production the more production centered ones are also professional. Obviously, they're all professional. But the ones that are more produced rather than spontaneous, being mixed in here with these top 10, I found a little surprising. It's interesting that there's still production in this seemingly so supposed to be real space, a lot of the talk on podcasts is about how podcasts are so valuable because people aren't censoring or editing their thoughts and opinions. They're just saying what they think with the full context for hours, and that's what's it's so real. And for the classically produced and edited and cut stuff with, especially the daily in there, like a legit corporate news podcast. It's not a classic podcast in the sense that it's talking either by yourself or with guests for an hour or more. It's only around 30 to 40 minutes. But the fact that it's so high is it's counter to that idea that the value is in the reality. It seems actually the value is just in the ability to hear it instead of watch it and get informed. And so even if it's the corporate, I think it's New York Times is the daily. As long as you can just have it on Spotify or whatever, that's where the value is. So I guess I'm a little surprised more corporate stuff isn't up there. But I guess maybe that just shows how where the value in the reality is still there, just not fully. But yeah, by this Chat GPT estimation, Joe Rogan's number one, Diary of a CEO is number two, Lex Friedman and the Daily. Lex Friedman is number three for sure, and the Daily and the Huberman Lab are tied for 4 and 5. So while I was at work by myself, what was I doing? I think I did a little bit of scraping in the beginning of the week, and then mostly caulking and masking at this quaint little house up a somewhat private-ish road. It's in a little bit of a secluded area. I was by myself listening to an episode or two of these top podcasts, waking my way down from number one. So I forget what I listened to with the diary. Oh no, I don't. It was a guy that was with all of these, especially the ones I hadn't even heard of before. I tried to look somewhat recently, but for just what was the most popular most recently. So like if there was a couple of episodes in the last month or two, and one of them had the most listens, because Spotify will tell you often with the ones that do get a good number. I do that one. And so with the Diary of the CEO, there was one popular one that had a guy who made $100 million before 35 or something like that from just being a savvy businessman. And yeah, it was good. I understood why it was. I understood why it's number two, and that's going to be the theme with the rest of these. Before listening, you might go, "Huh? What?" And your expectations will have betrayed you, because if you just genuinely, honestly listen to what's going on there, you'll see, oh, this is it makes sense why this is so popular. Now that I'm looking at the list again, I'm also noticing that the Tucker Carlson podcast is not in even the top 20 here, when it's consistently pretty high on the Spotify rankings. So maybe the Spotify rankings aren't that relevant. Lex Freeman I had listened to a bunch before. And then the Daily, which is that, the number one produced style podcast. They had one on APAC in Israel that I listened to, where they I wonder if it's the first time they've talked about it, but it seemed a little bit like they were just joining the party once it was safe to do so, in talking about in the most neutral way possible how APAC likes to throw money around, and the good or bad effect of Citizens United, but the effect, and how now APAC is in the has the ability to do that, and not commenting on whether it's good or bad, obviously, but somewhat interesting. Interesting more so just to see where the corporate is at these days. Good to check in. But that's about it. And then Huberman Lab, which is also good. Yeah, not surprised it's so high. It's a smart medical guy talking to other smart people about important stuff or interesting stuff. The one I listened to was about being healthy in general and living a long time, and the benefits to working out or exercising and eating right, and especially in an older age, that kind of stuff, and cognitive function in particular, neuroplasticity, and how that's all involved with eating and working out. So if you want to boost your cognitive function, cognitive ability, work out, basically, is the gist. Learn something new. Classic stuff that we all know, basically, but never really think about. Maybe avoid thinking about, because if you think too much about it, we'll realize how little we are actually doing it. But there you go. Number 6, Crime Junkie. This is another more produced one, but obviously not something corporate like New York Times. So it's also decent. It seems like it's all talking about missing or murdered people. So if that's your thing, you'll find that interesting. It's not really my thing to listen consistently about dead or missing people. So I don't know if you're unsensitive to that kind of thing and you want to be a detective or something, maybe that would be valuable for you, but not my thing. And then Call Her Daddy at number 7, which is the most different from the rest on this list. It's the first normal one in the sense that it's not trying to be academic at all. The value in it is in being emotionally relatable and being about pop culture. So the host is great. She's personable and fun. But yeah, the topics are much less seemingly significant, and that's probably even the wrong way to look at it. Like, it's not as if we should just not value art, but if there is a egotistical air about being smart and academic and scholarly that is present in the rest here, it is absolutely not in Call Her Daddy. So you can safely relax there if the rest are too much of that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm also not too surprised that is up there. And then another classic, guy interviewing other guys, with the Sean Ryan Show at number 8, which is not surprising. It's a military guy, ex-CIA guy, I think I heard from. I got to about 2 episodes of him. One with Candace Owens and another with someone else I forgot. Those were the most viewed. And even as I say, publicly that as I know that this is going to be published on YouTube, there's a certain stigma with Candace Owens that's very interesting. And Candace is another one that's high on the Spotify charts that I don't see here. That might be slightly surprising, or maybe not very surprising, but yeah, it's interesting to say something like, out of all the episodes, the recent episodes on the Sean Ryan Show, I prioritized watching the Candace Owens episode, and my mind immediately going to the thought, someone will take that information and prefer to interpret it in the sense that I chose it for the character of Candace Owens and not the utility in viewing the most viewed thing, even though I already explained that is what I was doing. There seems to be either overly emotional Either there's an overly emotional response to people here in the U.S., or I'm too much of a logical, unemotional freak where I I think I should be allowed to say on the Sean Ryan, when I was listening to the Sean Ryan show to figure out what it's all about, I listened to the Candace Owens episode, and I think people should think about me saying that in a certain way. One of those two. But anyway, I listened to the Candace Owens episode first. And I see why people like both Sean Ryan and Candace Owens. And I knew before I knew who Candace Owens was. But yeah, this episode was 4 hours and 40 minutes or something. And yeah, you get to go in with a likable person. I mean, it's it's funny to say a likable person because of the stigma. Um, like in my head, the stigma is so strong that I should address the fact that I'm saying Candace Owens is a likable person because it's as if she is automatically not. And so that yeah, that's a funny and I doubt my perception of that stigma is very um very different than reality. Um like if there's something you're going to bring up at your little family reunion or Thanksgiving or something, it's like you're probably not going to bring up 9/11, Hitler, and Candace Owens. But maybe not. Maybe Candace is a little more. Maybe her reputation isn't as poor as I think it is. But yeah, I feel like there's just such a stigma. Same thing with. I mean, not right now, but I've been listening to older episodes of the Tim Dillon Show, and I've been listen. I listened to one where he interviews Jordan Peterson back in 2021, and same thing with him. There's the biggest stigma, um, as opposed to reality, and it's interesting. It's interesting to see the stigma and reality and how opposed they are. But yeah, she talked about politics and dramatic events like Charlie Kirk and the Trump assassination attempt and conspiracies, and it is interesting stuff. It's interesting because of how clouded it is and how foggy it is and how you can't know for sure. So it makes it interesting. They go a bit deeper into it, obviously, over 4.5 hours, and how it's probably deeper than just fun conspiracies and the meaning in journalism. But yeah, that stigma is I don't see how it's useful. I don't see how it's useful. And that's where I left off. I didn't get to Rotten Mango. I don't even know what that is. No idea. Reminds you of Rotten Tomatoes. I doubt it's like that, though. Past weekend, I've obviously listened to a bunch. And then... Oh, there's an NBC thing there. Dateline. And then Ben Shapiro Show I've heard of. I haven't actually listened to an episode, but heard of it. And Modern Wisdom I've heard of. May have seen part of an episode. Is that also the same guy from Diary of a CEO? No, different guy. Chris Williamson. But yeah, I've seen like an episode or two of that. Should I say estimate top 30? Top 50? NPR. Rest is history. Rest is politics. Conan O'Brien. TED Talks. Financial Audit. Impulsive. H3 JB. Tucker Carlson number 49. And Candace Nowhere. Now, I feel like this is a bit suspicious. Let's see how many views Candace Owens gets on a classic episode. 1.9, 2.4. That's Hunter Biden though. 1.8. Myron Gaines. 1.4, 2.7, 1.3, 1.3. So we're getting on just YouTube, 1.3 or more, averaging around 1.5, 1.6 million on views on just YouTube. I know views can be skewed, but if we compare that with Financial Audit, is it all members only? Oh my god. Okay, it's not all, but it's like so rare. Is it all 1 million flat? 900K. 1.6. 900K. 1.2. So consistently less, albeit marginally less. If we look at Spotify, I know this is a bit petty, but what are we looking for here? Financial Audit. Is it just on PC? I'm not being able to see. I can see it on my phone. Could be Financial Audit's so low that it's not even showing up. Oh yeah. 100K, 200K, 100K, 200K. This is what Spotify says. Candace is 200k, 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 300k, 200k, 300k. So yeah, so slightly more. But and not just these two platforms, but you'd think that would make it above. Did I miss it, you know? Didn't miss it. It's just not on here. Oh, I mean, total minutes consumed, maybe, I guess. And then it's international audience, so international doesn't care about the US political ones, I guess. What did Candace be? She's large and engaged. Likely smaller. Well, yeah, I know it's less than the top. Near the top of cross charts. I guess globally. Anyway, so, you know, obviously this is not perfect, but the top 12 or 13 is probably good gist. It's probably the strongest in terms of being accurate. Probably the most accurate. But anyway, if you want to become a more worldly, isn't just it. It's also, there's also another good word to describe the kind of person that, you know, like a comedian goes around the country and even other countries sometimes and performs in, you know, red states, blue states, everywhere in between. And that's why they can relate to so many more people. Their perspective is broader. They understand the nuance of everything. So if you want to become not just more well educated, but a more well rounded, understanding person, you should do this. You should listen to at least one episode of the top podcasts, and read news articles from everywhere, and see what people are saying. See how people feel. You should strive to be understanding. And not just be understanding, but understand. You should strive to think about how what reality is, and how it's all working out. And I'm the last person to say this, but and not be so sure, not be so certain. But anyway, it's Sunday. AI is coming too slowly, in my opinion. But we'll get there. That's it.